Hello and welcome to the UTB Blogcast, 2 shows in one day. Aren't you happy to see us back again? we have Dave, Brad, and Alpha, and we might be having some more people join us as we go along the conversation.
Yeah, we actually had a couple of our Australians telling us that we needed to do this, and they're not here.
Yeah, and both of them have their internet out.
Yeah. What's going on with Australia? They lost their access? It's
a bad
day to lose their access.
Somebody cut the undersea cable. No fiber! No fiber for you!
Well, here's the deal with this one. We didn't really plan for this, to be honest. We figured we would just do the one this morning, and we're very happy that we did the one this morning, and we were happy and content with that. But then Wayno really wanted us to do a second one. We had some people on our channel asking us to do a second one, so here we are, really unplanned, really flying by the seat of our pants. If you're watching this live right now, please jump on the chat on YouTube and chat with us. You know, if there's something that comes up, if there's questions that want to be asked, if someone wants to make any comments on the amazing podcast that we had this morning, please do it. And Wayno looks like he might be here.
I'm here with great difficulty, but I'm here. I've had internet service issues for
Wayno.
I've had internet service issues for the last week, and trying to get everything sorted, and it's just been an absolute nightmare. But we're on the priv at the moment, so hopefully you can hear me all right.
Oh, it's perfect.
You sound great.
Well,
I think you sound better than you normally sound, to be honest.
Yeah, well, we won't mention the other device I used to use.
Well, I don't know if you know, but Chap's having the same problem you are, so you need to ditch your supplier.
Well, funny thing is, I think we've got different suppliers, but I think his was a battery issue.
Oh,
he needs to charge his phone.
No, he said his internet's out.
Okay.
So we were debating, or discussing who cut the cable, the undersea cable that goes to Australia. What happened?
Yeah. Shoot him when you find out who did it.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, guys, what a great blogcast you had this morning.
Right on.
Very good.
Fun. Yeah, it was fun. Educational. I don't really know what to say. I was extremely happy that Marty Beard is a talker, because there's some people that you try to interview and you get short answers and whatnot, but he was extremely thorough. What a great guy. Really nice guy.
I had one major fear. I had one major fear out of that podcast, and it was, would Dave and I be able to shut up long enough to let somebody else talk? And I think we did pretty good.
Well, I think he talked more than both of you combined.
Yeah, and I'm so happy about that, because I'm full of crap or something.
Yeah, I guarantee you every listener was very happy for that.
Yeah. Yay. Too funny. But that was good.
But to me, it's awesome, because what it does is it shows that BlackBerry does care about the community. All too often in our own channel and our own comments, and then if you go to other sites and you see their comments, there seems to be this idea amongst the community that, well, I'll just say it. There's people have been saying that they're trying to kill off BlackBerry, that current management they don't want us, blah, blah, blah. It's totally not true. And I kind of wanted to touch on it today, but I didn't really go into it as much. But there's a lot of people in our community that think because the leaks have stopped, we're no longer a community. Because the leaks have stopped, BlackBerry doesn't care about us anymore. BlackBerry management never gave out those leaks. That was employees that were doing stuff that they weren't supposed to do. And prior management, I never really saw them speaking to the community the way that current management has. And I'm not talking about just Marty Beard coming on the blogcast today. BlackBerry puts out their message. It tends to be twisted by the media, and they speak to it again. You know, I mean, they're very concerned with what the media thinks. They do have a business to run. They have things to do. And I think that Marty explained that today, that the priority was to make sure that BlackBerry looks like a stable company before they started dealing with these other things. BlackBerry is now a stable company. We're going to see things happening. And we're just lucky that we got to talk to him today. You know, it's like, here is our beginning point. This is where we know that this is where we start.
You know, I'm glad you cleared that up, because I always thought a stable company built barns for horses.
I knew you were going there.
Oh my.
Yeah.
What the heck did he just say? I lost sound for a minute, and I may be glad that I did.
He made a horse joke.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm glad I missed it. Hey, Burke on the channel said that he likes how Marty kept saying "stay tuned," and that's true. Burke says it speaks volumes about ambition, and you can't argue that.
No, I really like the way Marty was talking, and you know, the stay tuned statements and the little, you know, feeders here and there, and Work was extremely glad that I asked about the keyboard, even though we didn't get a solid answer. It was fun to get that in there, but anyway, he's a really great guy, and I hope we get the chance in the future to see him back again.
And I think the biggest question that we got out of this morning was the blonde girl that was with Marty. She was part of corporate communication. I was really expecting her to speak at some point, but maybe she didn't feel the need to. But we're thankful that she was there. She actually spoke to us a little bit before we started.
Yeah, I suspect that she's there to monitor what's going on. And, you know, and that's about it.
Aaron on the comments, he's asking about the Mercury being the last in-house phone. And you know what? At this point, we know, as of right now, it is the last in-house designed phone. I am not willing to say that it's the last BlackBerry designed phone ever, because in my mind, BlackBerry is going to shoot to the top, and we're going to see a lot of things out of BlackBerry in the future. But as of right now, it is the last, quote, in-house design phone. Even Chin, in his last interview that I saw, he was talking like there could be a future there. But one of the things that Marty did say, and please go back if you haven't listened to the podcast or watched the podcast, go back and do that, because honestly, it's much more important and much more informational than anything we're going to do tonight.
As usual.
Yeah. But he made it a point that this new plan that they have, this new direction that they're taking, will probably result in more BlackBerry phones on the market than what we've seen so far. That's an extreme positive. And I know a lot of people have been afraid of that. And I mean, honestly, that's the one big thing from this morning that I loved about it. It's that, you know, we're just BlackBerry fan community members. That's all that we are. And I think we asked a lot of the questions that our community has been asking, a lot of the concerns and worries, and he answered to everything. I mean, there were a few times that he said, I can't tell you now, and I can't speak to that right now. But he was extremely open, and to me, he calmed every fear I might have had. And I hope most of our readers and viewers feel the same way.
Really? Even that fear of clowns you've got?
Don't talk about clowns, Dave.
Well, go ahead, Wayno.
Yeah, sorry, guys. While you're touching on that, Brad, about it being the last in-house device, or the last in-house designed device, for what I gathered from it was that it's not going to mean that BlackBerry doesn't have an input into the future devices. I still believe, and from what I could make of what Marty said was that they're not just going to hand over, this willy-nilly, and I think that BlackBerry will still have their hands in the pie.
Yeah, I don't think he could have been any clearer. I don't think he could have been any clearer on that. It's not just a case of licensing the name and here you go make the phones. They are truly partnering with these companies. They're going to ensure that these phones, that be it Alcatel or be it this Indonesian company or be it, whoever it may be making these phones, they're going to be making a BlackBerry phone, period. They're designing it, they're manufacturing it, but it will be a BlackBerry phone or it won't have the BlackBerry name on it.
Yeah, that's right. They'll still have their input into the design factor. It just won't be fully designed in-house, but they will most definitely have their input into the design of the devices. They'll have to meet certain specs and certain criteria.
So instead of us just focusing on this morning, because I know that that's really what we want to, and I mean, if anybody has any questions or comments about this morning, feel free to throw them on the chat on YouTube or comment somewhere where we can read it, and we'll go back to it. But believe it or not, there has been BlackBerry news this week, right? There's been some pretty important BlackBerry news this week.
Yep.
Yay.
Yay. I was hoping somebody else would start speaking there. But BlackBerry introduced their new mobile security platform, which what we're really seeing is a lot of the good apps, a lot of I'm going to say former apps that BlackBerry's been doing, and not just apps, but applications and services that they've offered. We're seeing a huge rebranding, and we're seeing all the puzzle pieces being put into one console, one thing, for enterprise, of course. And it's just amazing to see what they're doing as far as all the pieces coming together. We've seen these companies get bought up. We've seen the little improvements and new items and all these, for the last couple years. And now we're seeing the end result of that. And everything is coming back together. And everything is coming back together under the BlackBerry name. And to me, that's huge. As a BlackBerry fan, I know there's been discussion about should they rebrand? Should they go by the QNX moniker instead of a BlackBerry moniker? Could we go back to Research in Motion? This is going to do so much to bring back the branding that I know we all love, which is BlackBerry. Because these are all services and apps that all these people have been using all along. Now, every time they see it, they're going to know it's BlackBerry. And that very item that they've depended on for the past 5 years, they're going to come to the sudden realization that they've been depending on BlackBerry this whole time.
Yeah, that's going to be in a lot of people's faces, I guess, next month when they said they were going to roll it out in January. Don't know when, though. And it was great to hear that, as you touched on, the brand recognition. It's instead of having all of these disparate names, still old third-party names, it's all BlackBerry all the time now. So. That can do nothing but help bolster the brand, and people will start writing, their articles, including us, instead of calling something SecuSmart or instead of calling something WatchDocs or whatever it is, we're going to be calling it BlackBerry because that's what it is. And as we all know, in advertising, the more you say something, the more burnt in it gets to people's minds, and the more people remember and talk about it. So, but good, if you'll excuse the pun, which I'm apt to do sometimes, I think, maybe.
Okay, somebody else talk. We need to hear from somebody other than Dave and Brad.
Yeah.
Well, you're not Dave or Brad.
Yes, bad, Eric.
Well, here, let me give you something to talk about then, Erica. John on the channel said, I would have liked to know what kind of BB10 devices he means, because I don't think it's just phones.
It's always a possibility when they just use the word device. I mean, I don't know. He said we would see a lot more BlackBerry devices on the market. He didn't say we would see more BlackBerry 10 devices, but that doesn't mean that we won't see them either.
Right.
So it's really just, he was leaving it as open-ended as possible, but I know I can tell by the way that he was saying things that there's going to be a lot more than we expect, and hopefully it will be everything that we're looking for.
But he made it pretty clear that, you know, their primary concern right now, their primary customer, and obviously are these high security customers, the banks, the hospitals, the governments. He made that perfectly clear. And he made it perfectly clear that these companies depend on BB10. That is a huge positive. Did he come out and say, hey, there's going to be another BB10 device? No. Did he say that BB10's been licensed? No. But you don't just walk away from something that is so important to your primary customers. And I don't think they're going to.
Well, I think if they were going to do that, they wouldn't have gone through the hassle of the NIAP certification.
Exactly.
You know, that was months and months of work. We know how long it took, and that, you know, they were working right up till the moment it was released to get that certification. There was different updates coming out on the BlackBerry servers with all the, you know, production runs of all the OS and everything. So they were constantly working on it to get it right, and that was months and months and months of work that went through that, as he explained this morning or last night in your world over there on the other side.
Or something.
It was very early morning for me. I know that. It was 3 o'clock in the morning here, and I must have been keen to catch it because I didn't have to set the alarm. I woke up at 20 to 3 and leaped out of bed and was all keen to help out where needed, whether it was blogging on the channel or and thank God I wasn't needed, so I could just kick back, make a quick coffee and enjoy the show. But in saying that, I was chatting quite a bit to you guys in the group, and I did miss a lot of what he was saying, so I need to sit down when it's quiet later on tonight and go through that blogcast again and just have a really good listen.
Hey, Wayno, you know, for a BlackBerry guy, leaping out of bed is a great idea. And also, I have a question. When you stir your coffee, do you stir it clockwise or counterclockwise?
Well, it's like the toilet water down here. It's anti-clockwise, isn't it, Brad?
See, that's what
I hear.
Yeah, that's what I thought, man.
We were talking about stirring coffee in our UTB mugs
don't
earlier
go
this
there.
morning. We won't
Please
go there.
don't.
So Alpha, you've been pretty quiet. You're dressed awful nice for this show.
No, he's not. He's dressed down considering he was in a suit this morning.
He's
James
still in a
Bond
suit.
going on there. What?
I agree with what you guys were saying, especially on the BB10 devices. Although there was no confirmation, I don't think that BlackBerry would have went through all the effort to get it certified with NIAP, just to drop the OS and for there to be nothing else happening with BB10. I believe we will see further development. I even believe at some point we will see some new BlackBerry 10 handsets. It's just that right now the focus is on Android. And once BlackBerry gets Android to where they want Android to be, we'll see some more work on BB10.
Yeah.
Well, there's still a lot of development to get put into Android. You know, there's a host of apps that I know it wasn't really brought up too much today by Marty, but there's a host of other apps that people want and have been demanding on Android. And I believe that, you know, we will see that down, in the very near future. Being a software-focused company now, that's what they're working on, and it shows by the amount of updates that we're seeing with all the BlackBerry suite of apps on our Android devices being updated quite regularly.
I agree. I agree 100%. There is still a lot of work that they have to do with Android. It's coming along nicely. It is the most usable version of Android that I have ever been able to comfortably use, and without me having to put it down and saying, "F this crap, I'm not going to use it." And with each update, it just keeps getting better and better and better. I mean, other Androids that I've had, and I've had from just about every Android OEM, from Samsung with TouchWiz to HTC with their Sense to Sony to Huawei. I've had them all, and BlackBerry Android, hands down, is the best version of Android that I've ever used, ever.
Well, it's good to hear you say that. I'm new to that, so I haven't experimented with other flavors. I've goofed around with other people's units, but never owned something.
Sorry, keep going.
I wasn't the only one. I'm glad I wasn't the only one. Thanks, Brad.
Yeah, Brad, you live too close to a ditch. Anyway, what was I going to say? Yeah, I've used other people's devices and haven't really used them enough to understand that. Like, for, let's say, pick on Samsung, their TouchWiz, would that piss me off? I really don't know, because I haven't owned one, or any generic tablets or anything like that. So I don't really know. But the transition from BB10 to Priv, and Brad will attest to this. It was a little bit sketchy. I persevered, and a couple updates later, it's like, wow,
yeah,
very usable, pretty nice. I have a question though for anybody that wants to dive in on it. When we talk about BB10 and how important it is to Fortune 2000s or whatever it is, governments and industry. When you look at the current offerings for a BB10 handset, and you think about the stock that's available and how long it could last or whatever, I mean, people break things, right? You drop it. I mean, I've lost one of my phones in the ocean. Stuff happens. And when you need a replacement for a fleet or a government or whatever, it needs to come from your source, whatever that is. It's your carrier. It's wherever you're buying them from, even if it's direct. And so it occurs to me that when BlackBerry needs to, supply those handsets to people for various reasons, be they new employees or replace broken things or whatever it is, there has to be something in that supply chain. So what do you guys think about, that, where we're at with that? And I've got a kind of a positive spin in my mind about that, but I'd like to hear what you guys think.
Look, I might jump in and answer that one. I wrote a blog post earlier in the week regarding the BB10 file manager.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm taking two devices with me to work every day. I take the Priv and I take the Passport. Now, the Passport's the main device. Now, while I was out, I run a service business, and I was out seeing one of my customers and needed to get some information to carry out a repair on a forklift. And to get that information, it was actually saved on my PC in the office. And I was about 40 Ks, or about an hour and a half drive with traffic from the office. So to access that was a quick matter of opening up the file manager, clicking on the desktop PC, downloading the PDF straight to the Passport, opening it up, and there it was within 5 minutes, if that. The file was downloaded. I opened it up and to the page where I needed to be, and had that problem sorted within the hour. And things like that just make it invaluable. And the Passport, while it's the current BB10 device, it's close to 2 years old now, and it's still up there. It still does things that natively, without having to download apps and workarounds and everything. It's built in. It just works, and it's saved my bacon a lot of times. And that's just, to me, that is invaluable, and that's why I can't drop BB10. That's why at the moment it's things like that are built into the OS, that have been built in since day dot, that just make it invaluable. And until they can come up with something like that for Android, and I think it's quite possible they are working on something like that. There's been a lot of demand for an inbuilt file manager, so I would tend to think that it's quite possible we will see that in the near future. And I'm just hoping that it has the same functionality as the BB10 file manager with that remote desktop access, because that's just a killer function.
That's a great story. It had nothing to do with the question, but it's a really great story.
Well, you were talking about BB10 devices.
He's been waiting 3 weeks to tell that story.
Yeah, 3 weeks. But according to Brad, it's more than that.
Too funny. But I think that feature's kind of tied into Link, right? So.
Well, it is. But you raised the question about BB10 devices for business, and that's just a classic example of the current BB10 device that is 2 years old, still doing what no other device can do, natively, without any workarounds.
Natively is the trick. I mean, honestly, and I'm going to play the devil's advocate here. I'm going to pretend like I'm talking to Bigley right now. The whole trick of your story right there, and not trick, but the important part is that it's natively. It's native. Right. It's inbuilt to that phone, which you're not going to find on anything else out there. But I mean, as far as what you did, yeah, you could do that on a Priv. You could do that on a DTEC. There's plenty of apps. There's plenty of cloud services. You can use services that use your home computer as a cloud. So I mean, you can do it.
There's a lot of playing around to do that. It's not a matter of just picking an app and away you go. There's a lot of experimenting and setting up and connecting to your home network and everything like that. Yeah, it's quite.
Or just download Pogo Plug and leave your computer turned on.
Well, but that's buying something.
No, it's not. So I mean, there are ways you can do it. That's very easy, very simple. That doesn't take a networking degree in order to be able to do. I'm just playing devil's advocate because we do this with me and Bigley do this all the time, because Bigley is staunchly BB10 to the point of where he doesn't want to give BlackBerry Android a try. And me, I carry both. I've got them both with me right now. I've got my Leap, I've got my Priv. So I mean, I carry both with me every day, just like you, Wayno. The only difference is the first one I reach for now, and it wasn't like that too long ago, but the first one I reach for now is my Priv. But yes, there are things that BB10 can do that BlackBerry Android can't do. There's numerous things that BB10 can outdo BlackBerry Android. But on the flip side of the coin, there's numerous things that BlackBerry Android can do that BB10 can't do. So it really comes down to your own use case. Whoever you are, and use a BlackBerry. And going back to what Alpha was saying and what the guys are saying in chat, you can't look at your typical Android phone and say, Android sucks, I'm not going to use BlackBerry Android. Somebody that was a friend of ours is in our group, or was in our group, and is a friend of ours. I said that wrong, but Chris, he was on our channel. He was saying Android sucks. He needs to have BB10. And here's the thing. He moved off of BB10 to try Android, but he did it with, I believe it was a ZTE phone. And you can't judge BlackBerry Android on something else. I mean, honestly, jump on a Samsung. It is horrific. TouchWiz is horrific. All these overlays that they put on these other phones, I can't use those phones as I've used my phone for my entire smartphone life, which is that BlackBerry workflow, the workflow that I'm used to using. I can completely do that on my Priv now. Not when it first came out, but now my Priv is a BlackBerry. I don't use it as an Android phone. The only thing I use that you could say Android on my Priv is I've got some apps. I got some apps that I can't get on BB10 on my Android phone. But other than that, I'm not going through all those menus. I'm not going in, you know, only time I dive into my menus is to hit that check for updates when I find out that a new beta release has come out.
Well, how's about I answer my own frickin' question then?
Well, no one else is, are they?
Yeah, piss on you lot. Anyway, what I was getting at, and thank you for the distraction, is that there's some perceived or whatever finite number of BlackBerry 10 handsets out there, whatever that number is, I don't know. But the importance put on keeping the government's the banking and the law industries and this and that going with these things, is important. So we all know that machines that were built 2 years ago have a limited, you can't just keep making them because parts aren't available anymore. That stuff doesn't happen. So when you run out of stock, what are you going to do? So the way my tiny mind, and I mean tiny, works is that when those supplies run out, you're actually going to have no choice but to make more units, be they the same or new and or different. So in my humble opinion, whether you're going to be running 10.3.4 or 10.3.3 or 10.3.5 or 10.4 or whatever it is, I'm kind of thinking you won't have much of a choice within the next 2 years than to produce
something,
another BB10 handset of some kind. Could be low range, mid range, high end, I don't know, but you're kind of going to have to do it because I kind of think that whatever's in stock right now isn't going to last all that long. That's just me postulating. I don't know. So what do you guys think about that?
I think part of the downfall.
Try it out, yeah.
All right, I'll see if I can answer that one. I think part of the problem is these days that the devices come with a battery sealed in there. Gone are the days where we used to have replaceable batteries, and the batteries are, especially with the BlackBerry, because the reliability of the devices is so good, they just keep going and going. But the battery is the killer, and it's usually the battery that's going to give out first. And the fact that the batteries aren't replaceable these days is kind of making things a bit of a throwaway world. So, yeah, I mean, the devices are 2 years old. A lot of people out there are still running the Z30s, and they're, 2.5, 3 years old now. I don't know how much longer we can expect to get out of those batteries.
Yeah, well, I mean, their lipos are a million times better than what we used to live with, which was NiCad kind of things. And BlackBerry recently came out with an article, I think it was on Inside BlackBerry, saying, hey, use and abuse your BlackBerry battery, charge it whenever you want, use it as long as you want. You don't have to run it down. You don't have to worry about charging it to 100% and leaving it there overnight, and just use the hell out of it. And it could be that they're saying, who cares? You're going to replace it in 2 years anyway, so use the hell out of it. And it could be that they're absolutely right, and it's just a lipo, and that's the way it happens. what you say is not lost on me. It is kind of a disposable world, and from a consumer point of view, as opposed to corporate, we do want something new once every 2 years. In my sick world, once every year or earlier. From a corporate point of view, you want stuff to last for as long as it possibly can, because it's a basic cost for your business. You don't want to be replacing stuff every year just because it's cool. That's a consumer thought.
That's right. And a lot of people are either locked into 12 or 24 months contracts, and that's the reason they want to have a new device every 2 years. And we're coming up to that 2-year cycle, or we're at that 2-year cycle. But in all honesty, the passport's still doing it for me. It's still number one for me.
My daily driver is a D-Tech 60, and when I pull out my passport, which is with me every day, and I use it, it is equally as fast. As an OS, it is equally as quick, responsive, and excellent. All day, every day. Once in a while you might have an issue with a browser, but actually that's better on 10.3.3 now. If you were to start, I found the same game for Android as BlackBerry 10, and I ran them side by side on the Priv and the D-Tech 60. And yeah, not the Priv, but the Passport and the D-Tech 60. And yeah, the Passport, it took a little longer to load the game, but it ran the game just as good. So, the operating system just kills. It's efficient, it's fast, and the stock that it's running on almost doesn't matter. It's unbelievably efficient.
There's no denying that BlackBerry 10 as an operating system and as far as a UI, a user interface, is better than Android. There's no denying that whatsoever. The problem with BlackBerry 10, we all know what the problem is, and there's no support for it. App developers, I'm pointing fingers at Facebook and anybody that has business with Facebook, are not only not supporting it, but I think anti BlackBerry 10. So, I mean, that's the problem. So, again, it comes down to the user and what they want out of their phone. If your primary purpose in a phone is the best communication in the world and the most secure communication, there is nothing you can get better than a BlackBerry 10 phone.
Yeah.
But if you want your apps, and if you want security, and if you want a consumer phone that you can feel safe with, BlackBerry's made an Android phone too. There are 3 of them now. I don't think it's a case of what is better. I think it's a case of we've got choices. BlackBerry has done what they've always done, and they've come out and they've answered what customers want. They've given that security phone, now the ultimate security phone, to those security conscious customers. They've given a secure phone for the more consumer driven customers. But at this point, I'm pretty sure that, I think it's pretty plain what Marty told us this morning is where our focus needs to be as a community. If we're wanting to support BlackBerry, it can't be fighting about BB10 or Android anymore. It's like that doesn't do us any good. It's all about software. It's all about being cybersecurity evangelists. And there is so much information out there. There's so much, and that's what we need to do as UTB, is to be sure that our readers and our viewers and our family knows what's going on out there in the world. So that should be our task. When there's a hack on a phone, we need to tell people. If it's a hack that could potentially affect BlackBerry, we need to let them know. If it's like most hacks, which there's no chance it's going to affect BlackBerry, like the hooligan hack right now, because it operates by rooting the phone right off the bat.
That's Gooligan.
Same thing as
honey.
Gooligan. Same thing as the Tesla app hack. It
Right.
roots the phone. The most scary hacks out there all root the phone, and that means that BlackBerry users have absolutely nothing to worry about. And that's what we need to be sure that our readers and viewers and family know, so that they can go spread that information to other people. You want to be safe from these? Get yourself a BlackBerry. It's that simple.
I agree. We should all root for BlackBerry.
Well, that's it. You don't have a BB10 device or the BlackBerry Android device. Hasn't. Oh, quit it, will you? There hasn't been a BB10 device or a BlackBerry Android device that's been known to have been hacked. All these other vulnerabilities are affecting every other phone bar BlackBerry. And if something is even remotely a possibility of a risk to BlackBerry, they're on it. They're on it straight away.
Exactly.
And it's a matter of days. You see the a patch or a fix or an update that comes out to solve that. So the risks are absolutely minimal. You just cannot get any better.
What's frustrating? Go ahead.
Sorry, I was just going to take it back to what you guys were saying a little bit earlier about we need to support both BlackBerry 10 and BlackBerry Android. In one of the BBM groups that I was in recently, there was a gentleman who actually left one of the groups that we were in because he was saying that we don't because we support Android and that BlackBerry Android is not real, and we shouldn't use any Android device, even if BlackBerry's making it, and we should only use BB10 devices, and that's just hogwash. As Brad was saying, the Priv, the DTEC 60, those are BlackBerries. BlackBerry has made the Android OS as such as it's a BlackBerry. You see the BlackBerry apps, you see the BlackBerry features. There's more coming over. It has the BlackBerry security, and we as fans need to just support BlackBerry. Whether it's BlackBerry Android, whether it's BB10, we need to support BlackBerry, both, the entire company. We need to support what the company is doing. We need to support the way the company is headed. And the company is only going to get better with our support. But if we're bashing the company, then we're just killing the company from within. And that's not a good thing at all.
Exactly. And one funny point, too, I've noticed lately in our Australian BBN group, we've got about 20-odd members that are diehard BlackBerry fans, and a lot of them have switched over to the new Androids. Everyone had to have the latest BlackBerry. It's just what we do. And the funny thing is, a lot of them are actually going back to their passports and their classics. You know, they've had the Priv. They've been using the Priv for a while and love the device. And they switch back to the passport or the classic and just can't believe how good it still is.
Yeah, well, if it weren't for three particular things that I do, the passport could easily be my daily driver. I have it with me everywhere I go. I've said it a million times, and I use it almost every day anyway. And it's such a slick piece of machinery. It's just hard to ignore. But everybody has their own use case. I mean, like I say, apart from 2 or 3 things that I need to do on a daily basis at work, which I had workarounds for, and still have workarounds for on the Passport, and previously on the Z30. It was something that was relatively easy to live with. I don't know what to say. Going to the Priv and then the DTEC 60 is just now that they have the hub and other apps working the way they do, it's just easy for me to recommend what we call in our at UTB what we call Black Droid. I don't have a problem recommending it. Whereas, the first month, I was a little nervous about that.
I'm just going to give a shout out. I've actually got a few of our Aussie group members watching the blogcast today. So thumbs up to all the Aussies out there watching.
Say hi to Madge.
Make it a happy. Yes, Madge is watching. Reef's watching. Keep it up, guys. Watch us every week.
And join in. Why aren't they commenting on YouTube if they're watching? I think they're just fibbing. Well, I think they turned on their phone and they walked away.
No, there you go, guys. Watch it on YouTube and put a comment up there.
Well, maybe Australians, apart from Wayno and Chap, maybe they're kind of shy.
No, we're not shy. We're not shy.
It's why I was kidding.
John, on the BVN channel, software, why discontinue Blend? I love Blend. I use Blend every single day, even now. That's one of the reasons why I carry my Leap around with me. But because I use Blend and because I know a number of us here do, you have to look at is it a value proposition, right? I mean, is it something that is going to BlackBerry where they needed it at that point, which was to bring in customers? I don't think it was. I don't think it was really a positive to bring people to BlackBerry or to bring people to their devices. I think if there was a value to it, a profitable value to it, it would still be there right at the top, the way I want it to be.
Yeah, you know what? Excuse me. Blend, I was absolutely using that all day, every day, for, ever since it was offered. And one of the things that kind of made it difficult, not in my organization or at my home, but one of the things that made it difficult for some people was that it insisted on using IPv6, which, I don't want to get into the boring details, but IPv4 is what the world's been running on for years and years and years. And there's an awful lot of connected devices out there that don't like or don't allow or didn't understand IPv6, and so it didn't operate in some people's businesses and even in some people's whatever other environments. So it kind of got off to a bumpy start there. But there's two ways to kind of look at it. One person would say, well, BlackBerry is a software company now, so why can't they make their software work? And why can't they keep that going? And what's up with that? And another person would say, well, guess what? There's probably something better coming or different coming. So I'm a glass half full kind of guy. I don't have any inside information on it. I kind of like to think that there's something better coming, but that's just me being, maybe wishful thinking or forward thinking. Blend is, a ridiculously awesome implementation and concept that unfortunately isn't going to get carried on in its existing format. But again, I kind of hope that something better is going to come. And again, I don't have any inside information, so that's just me wishful thinking.
Yeah, I'm a bit of a bottle empty kind of guy. It's time for another beer.
Dude, where's my beer?
Well, you got to forgive me. It is, what time is it out here? It's about 3:10. It's in the afternoon. Yeah. And in Australia, that's beer o'clock.
Excellent, Smithers.
Is Erica and Alpha still here?
Yes.
Okay. Just making sure.
I'm alive. I don't know if I'm here.
You know,
Eric has had a rough day.
one thing that occurred to me during this conversation is that, you know, for the longest time, people took two devices. Well, originally there was one device. You had a BlackBerry, you know, in an enterprise or an organization, you had a BlackBerry. And you'd bring it home and you'd show the kids and they'd go, oh, wow, cool. I got to have one of those. And so that grew and BBM went nuts and whatever. Everybody had a BlackBerry if they were anybody. And then stuff happens and somewhere someone's, you know, made a mistake and there's sirens. And which one of you guys is the criminal? Anyway.
Leave it to the liberal Canadian to say, oh, they made a mistake.
Why do you have to label people? Anyway.
No, I said B. You know, you're the only one I know. So
I'll kill you later. Anyway, where the hell was I going with this? Anyway, yeah, so that was it. You know, that was the smartphone thing. And then, you know, the iPhone came along and then people started taking two devices to work and they'd use BlackBerry for serious business and getting shit done. And they'd use the iPhone to play a game or do some goofy crap or who cares. It was the entertainment device. And now look at us on BB10 anyway. You know, it's like, damn, you know, Facebook's gone. Damn. You know, no Instagram. Damn. You know, this and that. So it's in some minor way, it's kind of flip-flopped. And the reason I'm bringing it up is because there's an awful lot of people, unlike me and my business, even though my business does have a Facebook account, it's never updated anymore. You know, lots of people use Facebook for business. They just do. As much as I think that's a bad idea, for a lot of people, it's a good idea because they get to put their message out to a hell of a lot of people easily and quickly. I don't like the creep factor of Facebook, so I don't buy into it. But lots and lots and lots of people use Facebook for business. So now it's, you know, in that regard, and same thing can be said for Instagram, right? People do that. Not so much Snapchat, but whatever. Those kind of apps. And so now there's people using two devices that are maybe in corporate and have a Facebook business account and have a BB10 phone. Now they got to carry this other thing to do that. It's kind of gone in a circle, right? Funny.
I think it's going to be difficult. I want to switch gears just a second, maybe longer than a second, but I think it's going to be difficult for the overall BlackBerry community to just kind of realize that the message is changing for BlackBerry. I mean, we saw it today talking to Marty. Devices are an end user, almost like an appendage. It's not really the focus anymore. The focus is the software. The focus is the security. And I think it's going to be really difficult as a community for us to focus on that. And that's going to be kind of UTB's purpose in this narrative, is to help keep that going and to help them understand that this is what BlackBerry is doing now.
It's going to be a challenge for UTB too, because we couldn't even do it on this podcast. Look how much time we spent going back to devices.
Which is why I'm trying to subtly change the subject. Thanks for keeping it subtle.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, we were tasked as a community with something today that I think is not just important, but it's valuable. And for the device lover like us, obviously, it helps us with our love too. And that is the cybersecurity. It's something that should be affecting all of us right now. We keep hearing this argument all the time. I heard it today. It may have, I don't know if it was in group. I really don't know who I heard it from today. I think I heard it from somebody in our chat right now. But they keep saying it's going to take something major, a major hack, a major issue before the public understands how important cybersecurity is. But exactly how Marty Beard said it today during our podcast is repetition is what gets into people's brains, right? You got to keep saying it. That's why it seems like we're getting a lot of the canned response from BlackBerry. They are having to repeat themselves a lot, and it's because every time they say it, you know, the media comes in, they twist it, they move it around, and then they have to come back and repeat it again, and they have to keep repeating it until people understand that, you know, BlackBerry's still alive. BlackBerry has a software pivot.
It's not just
Go ahead, Eric.
It's not just the media that's twisting it. The media is twisting it into their own agenda, and then the fans are saying, "Yeah, but what about BlackBerry 10? Yeah, but what about a new device? Yeah, but what about 10.3.3?" I mean, that's what he was saying earlier. Like, every time something comes up, he has to retract and be like, "Let's just talk about this thing. Let's not talk about all that other stuff." Because this thing is the focus. This thing is what we're doing now, and this thing will get us to where you want us to be. But we have to focus on this right now.
You know,
and if we as a community keep pushing the cybersecurity message and letting people know the issues, letting people know when they're at risk, maybe we don't have to wait for the huge hack before people start understanding the issue.
That's the thing, you know. The thing is that cybersecurity became important years ago, and the masses never understood it. The masses never adopted it. The masses don't care. The millennials go, eh. And that is the demise of communicating between individuals and corporations. It's ridiculous. It's like what Marty said today. You're going to email that sales forecast or whatever he said, the numbers on our business through a Gmail account? Are you stoned? You know, what do you think you're doing?
WikiLeaks showed us exactly why you shouldn't be using a Gmail account when you're running a campaign.
That's my point. So the importance of this is years ago. BlackBerry cared about it years ago. They've assembled the collection of apps, companies and apps and expertise and qualifications to do the right thing for corporations. And I have to reiterate, I want it for individuals. I would like to be able to subscribe to that as an individual, not just
I agree.
Company.
Yeah. Even as a small business, you know?
Yeah, Wayno, wouldn't you just love to have, your 2 or 3 person or your single person company, whatever, be able to subscribe to BlackBerry services to give you Bez, it's not Bez anymore, but to give you Bez and Watchdogs and whatnot, and so that you have this tunnel, you have this security, you have this privacy, and you don't have to worry about getting snooped on. Snoop Dogg. You don't have to worry about those kinds of things. As an individual, man, hell, I pay $10 a month to Spotify. You think I wouldn't pay that to BlackBerry to have the same thing? Damn straight I would. Sign me up. Think about it. What BlackBerry used to garner as biz licenses, as those licenses for all of our BBOS 7 and under devices, which of course are going away. What would be killer is to be able to offer that through carriers or through BlackBerry Direct, personal or small groups, even family, whatever, small business, to be able to sign up to Bez and Watchdogs and whatnot and have that security and know that you are not only taking care of privacy, but you're also taking care of security. And it's important to understand those are two different things.
Well, this is it. I had this conversation this morning with a mate of mine on BBM, and he was spouting how good Watchdogs is. He uses it for work. He's only running 4 licenses. Now, I was under the understanding that Watchdogs was for up around 100 licenses. I don't know where I did read that, but he was sprouting how good Watchdocs was and the sharing functions in Watchdocs, the cloud storage and all that sort of thing for Watchdocs.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's to have it as, like you say, Dave, as a single use or even small business, you know, making it more accessible. And I think, well, I hope that down the track that we will see that sort of thing happening.
Yeah, I mean, I'd sign up for it in a heartbeat.
Yeah, me too.
$5 or $10 a month. I mean, it's nothing. That's a couple of beer. Who cares? And people just don't understand how important it is to be secure, and people don't understand how much privacy they're not getting by signing up to all of this crap services that are out there. And there's no way that it's not going to become more important over the next foreseeable future, forever. I don't know. Cyber or cyber security is a thing, and it can't do anything but be more important every stinking day. People don't get it, but they're gonna one day.
And like you say, Dave, it's the masses that don't care, you know. And I think it's going to take something to happen to them personally that's going to, you know, make them stand up and do something about it.
See, I think we need to stop having that attitude, because I think that's a defeatist attitude. It's like, well, at some point somebody's going to get hurt, and then they'll decide, I don't want to be hurt. That's where we come in, and I'm saying we, as a community, starting with us right here, we need to get the word out. You know, how many people do you come in contact with every day? I know you work with the public, you have customers, Wayno. I know I do, I know Dave does, I know everyone on here does. We need to start, you know, maybe stop talking about the sports score. Maybe start talking about, did you hear about this hack that just happened? Did you hear about this person that did get hurt that could be just like you? You know, it's like, let's change the narrative. Let's change the conversation. And it is important. It's important to the people that we know. And it's important to get
I agree.
next BlackBerry.
It's, look, I've constantly sprouting the benefits of the security, and you know, I've got a business mate of mine that I've known for 20 odd years, and he's an Apple fan, and he's always had the latest iPhone, and you know, he sees me with the passport hanging off my hip on a holster, and he laughs at me. Look at what you're carrying. That's a brick. And you know, I laugh at him, and we're constantly niggling each other. And the funny thing is, he's just gone and bought himself a new Ford Ranger, and he was sprouting about this new infotainment system and how good it was, and look at the features of this, look what it can do. And I laughed at him, and I said, you know what, that's running on BlackBerry QNX. And he couldn't believe it.
Yeah. What can you do? I agree with the narrative.
Some people you just can't convince, you know, as hard as you try, and believe me, I do try. There are just people out there that just aren't convinced and don't want to listen. They're stuck with their Samsung. They're stuck with their iPhone. And, you know, you can push till the cows come home. They're just not going to change.
You know what, Wayno? That's okay with me. I don't care. Because as BlackBerry...
Yeah, that's fine with me.
Because as BlackBerry is a software company, you know what? They can sign up to, what I would love to have is that BES subscription, or you know, and Watchdocs or whatever, and they can be as secure and private as they can be on that other thing. That's okay. You know, can their phone be rooted? Yeah. Yeah, within, you know, gone in 60 seconds.
That was the Pixel.
Yeah, like a Pixel or whatever. I mean, it doesn't take much to root everybody else. But I don't really care. If they want to be private, have some privacy or some additional security, then they then everybody on this planet should be able to subscribe to BlackBerry services, as far as I'm concerned. Whatever the hell you're using, don't care what it is. That would be cool.
They're all going to care when something happens to them. That's what I learned about people. Until it affects them directly, they don't give a shit. Once it affects them directly, then everybody's going to care and everybody's going to be looking for that solution. It's a shame because the solution is available now and everyone should be jumping on it. But, you know, some people have to learn the hard way.
And I think that's where repetition comes in, because we may not be able to change everybody's minds, but I think with repetition and with a clear story and honest and open dialogue, we can change some.
That's true no matter what you're looking at. I mean, it's great to point back and say that, hey, Marty said that this morning, but we all know that's true. Repetition is necessary. We can't just like go tell them once and say, oh, you know, they just want to stick with their iPhone. They don't care. Leave it alone. Because it's that kind of apathy that got BlackBerry in the position where they're having to have a turnaround now. You know, it's that kind of thing where the fans stopped being advocates and started being critics. It's time to be advocates again.
And like
hey, that sounded kind of smart.
Like they were saying, it doesn't matter if they decide to buy BlackBerry phones, they can still use BlackBerry services because it's software, not devices.
Right.
Mm-hmm. That's what I'm saying. I will fight to the death to have a BlackBerry handset in my hand, and if I can't have that, then I'm going to be running some kind of BlackBerry services. Damn straight.
All right. Well, how do you guys feel for our second blogcast of the day?
I feel great.
That's a first, really. You know,
it is a first.
I mean, have we ever done two? Have we ever done it twice?
Oh no, I'm proud of your stamina there, Dave.
Oh man, it was like 12 hours ago or something. Yeah, 12 hours.
Don't worry, I've been up since 3 too.
Well, you get the stamina badge, I think, for waking up and dealing with that. I must say, Wayne, absolutely.
Wayno got to see what it's like to be Roy every week.
Yeah, no shit. That's funny. Too funny. Roy's just
all right, let's
sleeping.
Yeah, don't know how he does it. Week in, week out. Full credit to him. He's dedicated. But he's a lot younger too.
Yeah. All right, I say we call it. We've rambled on a bit.
Is it time for good night?
I think it's time for good night, but every time I start saying it, someone speaks.
Well, let's just say good night and stop letting them talk.
All right. Good night, folks.
All right.
Good night, guys.
Thanks,
Have a great weekend, peeps.
You too. Thank you.